Hello everyone, and welcome to Learnable Computer Science. Today, we'll be going over turtles and loops in Python. So let's get into it. So let's go through loops first, and then from loops, we can kind of relate them to what exactly turtles are. Because you may be asking, why are we doing turtles again? Because when you look at a turtle, right, you see like a little turtle on the beach. So we'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's just cover through like the main types of loops. Again, these are super important. So please try to follow along to this by doing also the homeworks as well, so that you all have a great idea so that you can be equipped for a next class. So basically, let's go into the while loop here. In simple terms, this runs until a condition is met. And this is exactly like an if statement. Exactly like an if statement, except this runs until the statement is met. For example, if the if statement, right, the if, elif, and else statements, we saw in the last class that if the if statement did not pass, it goes to the elif statement, or then it goes to the else statement if that did not pass as well. But here, right, while condition. So instead of if condition, it's while condition. And the while basically means to keep on running over and over again until that condition is met, instead of going to the next condition, which is pretty cool. So let's go into like some scenarios where you think while loops are useful. So wash the dishes until all of them are done, or mow your lawn until it's fully mowed. Basically, these ones show do something until you fulfill something. So the advantage of this, you use while statements when you don't know how many times you have to do it. For example, if you don't know how many dishes you need to do, the while loop is an amazing way to fulfill the dishes without knowing how many to do. Because you say while the dishes still needs to be washed, keep washing the dishes. So it's a big advantage that if information is not known, it allows for flexibility. And also it's more known to engage the user with the program. Some disadvantages are that it can cause infinite programs. So that's not good at all. Because okay, while condition, right? If the condition doesn't change, you'll keep on running it over and over again. So it's important for the condition to change. So for the while loop to be actually useful. And it may not be able to handle wrong input, which is a bug that you'll have to fix. For example, one example of engaging the user with the program, because I was a little bit vague with that, like enter a number between 1 and 10, right? If that's the thing that you want the user to enter. The user can enter 100, right? And you don't know. So this while loop basically says, until the user enters a number between 1 and 100, keep on asking them, enter a number between 1 and 100, enter a number between 1 and 100, right? So if you have an if statement in this case, right, it only runs once. But if you have a while statement here, you can run until the user gives the correct information. So now let's go into for loops, which is basically the polar opposite. For loops run for a designated number of times. So if you know how many times you need to do something, this is the perfect thing to do. So the scenario is do 30 push-ups, right? You just keep on doing 30 push-ups, right? I love Python 20 times on your notebook. Again, for loop, you're doing this for a designated number of times. The advantage is here that it runs for a specific number of times. You are certain that it will run for that number of times and it won't run any less or any more times. And it reduces the possibility of bugs. But the disadvantages are that it's unable to adapt to user input. For example, if the user, let's take the example that we talked about before, where you enter a number between 1 and 10 and the user keeps on entering like 100 or 1000. For loops won't necessarily work here because you don't know how many times they'll enter the wrong input, or if they're wrong input at all. So it's super. Again, there are situations where a for loop is better and a while loop is better. So we have to kind of learn all that kind of stuff, which we will. So now let's go into code. Please open your VS Code. I already have my VS Code open. So go into File, open folder, go into your folder which you have all your code in, and then press open. And then if you need to, make a file by pressing the add file button and put the name of your file .py, and then you make it. We already did this multiple times, so if you have any questions, please feel free on how to make this. Please feel free to look back on the previous videos as well. Okay, so now let's go through the while loop and the for loop. And I want one example here. Put a countdown timer that goes from 1 to 10. That's the main goal. So let's try to make that. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start off with a while. So while, actually, no, let's start with the for loop. So for, again, for I in range of 10. Okay, I'll explain the range stuff a little bit later. Let's just go to this. So print I. So now if I run this, it will run from 1 to 10 or 1 to 9. So that's why it's important. So what's important. So basically, here you have the for loop, right? This is the variable and this is the range. You may be confused, like what is the range? This basically is the number of times it should run. So the range 10 basically means that the for loop should run 10 times. And the variable here keeps track of how many times it's been running. For example, if I say print I, right? First it starts off with 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and all the way until 9. This ran 10 times. If you think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It ran 10 times because we specified the range as 10. And then the I is just standard procedure. The I keeps track of how many times you run. And if you say print I is a number. So then I starts off as 0, then it goes to 1 because it adds 1 as a range, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Now, if you wanted to do 1 to 10, you want this to be 1 and this to be 10. You can just simply say I plus 1. So if I run it now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pretty simple. Hopefully that made sense. If you have any more questions, we can please feel free to email me, or we can also join tutoring, like a tutoring session where I will explain more in depth if you have any questions. So now let's go into the while loop. So while, let's just say, while num is greater than, less than, or equal to 10. Now let's define num, because here's the thing. This is the very, very crucial part, which each of them has different advantages and disadvantages. For loop, it automatically keeps track of the number, while while loop, you have to make your own. So there's some tasks where it's better to run the while loop and some tasks where it's better to run the for loop. In this case, it's better to run the while loop because you know how many times you want it to run. But I'm just showing this so that you can get a little more grasp on the concepts. So num is equal to 1. So now while num is less than or equal to 10, let's just say print num. So let's comment this out. Let's run it. Interesting. It's an infinite loop. Why? You think that, let me stop the terminal. Like, why is this running infinitely? Oh, you see that? Num is equal to 1, while num is less than or equal to 10, print num. You're doing nothing to 1. Num is still 1, and it keeps on running over and over again because 1 is always less than 10. This is the instant why infinite loops can occur. So you can do num is equal to num plus 1. Or shorthand, you could do num plus equals 1. But I'll show this just for the sake of understandability, because again, this is not proper mathematical thing because this is not equal to this. But the thing is, you're basically adding 1 to num and you're equating that to num again. So now if we run it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 2 lines of code. This is 4 lines of code. The for loop in this case is the better way to run. So that's why it's important to figure out when to use for loop and when to use while loop. We can go into an instant where doing the while loop is much better. So let's ask the user for an input. So num is equal to input. Give me a number between 1 and 10. Okay. Remember the int, because you want an integer as the input value. And then let's have a while loop here. While num is less than or equal to 10, while the num is greater than or equal to 10, or num is greater than or equal to 1. Hopefully this made a little bit of sense. So if the num is greater than 10, the num is greater than 10, or if the num is less than 1, it should run, right? Because we want a number between 1 and 10. So if they give a number that's greater than 10 or a number that's less than 1, that's not what we're asking for. So now we can ask them again. Copy this exact same thing. Say print incorrect input. Now we ask them again. So let's see if this works. Give me a number between 1 and 10. Let's say 2. Good. Because we gave the correct input, it did not run this while loop. So remember, this is kind of like an if statement. So if I run it again, let's say I give 20 now. Incorrect input, give me a number between 1 and 10. I give 30. Incorrect input, give me a number of 10. 1,000. Incorrect input, let's say 0 now. Incorrect input, let's say -3. Incorrect input. So now it's running until the user gives the correct input. While for a for loop, it runs for a designated number of times. So you do not know how many times the user enters the incorrect input, right? So while loop here, in this case, is much more useful. Hopefully that made sense. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to help, or join the tutoring sessions. So let's go into turtles and loops now. Turtles. So basically, you may be asking what is turtles? But basically, it enables drawing on a virtual canvas. We won't go into this too deeply, as this is not that crucial of a topic to go into, but this just helps reinforce loops in general, because loops can be you can learn loops a lot easier when you can actually see what's going on. So let's code again. Let's open VS Code. So let's go into the syntax. I showed the syntax a little bit there, but let's go into syntax a little bit deeper now. So the first thing that you need to do is import turtle. That's super important. Please import turtle. That's how you get the turtle. You may not know what the import means. We'll go into that in the next class. Just trust me. This basically gets the turtle. This basically allows you to use the virtual canvas. So now we need to make the turtle. So let's say t is equal to turtle dot turtle. This makes the turtle. Turtle, you see here, right? Turtle. This is the same as this. So you're saying, so you're asking the turtle library. There's no need for you to learn what that is. We'll go into that in like a future class. And you're asking it to make a turtle. So that's basically what this saying. This makes a turtle by asking the turtle library to make it. You're not doing any like actual heavy lifting. But before that, we also have to make the window, right? Because we want a virtual canvas. We made the turtle, but now we need to make a window, like for the actual canvas to make. That's super simple. We can just do window. Oops, window is equal to turtle dot screen. Okay. So now you're basically saying, turtle, make a screen. Turtle, make a turtle. So now you have the basic building blocks of what exactly you need. And one thing is very important here. Before you actually start coding whatever you want to do, right? Please include the t.main loop. There's no need for you to know, there's no need for you to know what this exactly is right now, but just trust me, or sorry, turtle.main loop. Just trust me, this is super important. Like this is the bare bones of what you need to make a turtle program, and now you can actually start coding. So let's start coding now. So we know that the turtle is t, right? Because we made a turtle and we assigned that to t. So let's do t dot move forward, t dot forward. And now you have to pass something in, right? See the documentation here? You have to pass something in. Turtle dot forward, and you have to give it a specific value. So then value inside is a number of pixels for it to move forward. So let's say 100. So let's run this for now, and let's see what it is. Interesting. Unverified breakpoint. Okay, let's run it now. Okay. This basically ran the program. You see the arrow is the turtle here, and then it went forward 100 pixels. It may be kind of trippy because you may be saying it's going left, but look at it from this angle, and the turtle is facing this way or this way in your camera, and then it's going forward 100 pixels, so it's moving forward like that. Okay, we made a turtle and we made it to move forward. So what, right? You may be asking, what is the point of this? So let's just make a square, right? Let's make a square. So we want it to move forward 100 pixels. Now we want it to turn left. So now, because this is forward, right? This is left. Because if you think from the turtle's perspective, if you go this way, then you go, if you go this way, then it's left, and then this way, it's right. So let's go into the code. Let's cancel this. And t dot left. Now let's say, but you may be asking, t dot left, like this is asking for something inside of it. This is the degree which you want it to turn left. So this is 90 degrees. See, 90 degrees is like you go straight, 90 degrees you go up. So we want the turtle to turn 90 degrees, and then we want it to move forward. So now if I run it, see this? The turtle started here, it moved forward for 100 pixels, it turned 90 degrees. So it's this way and this way, and then it moved again 100 pixels. So now let's just repeat that until we make a square. So we can just copy code and then run it again. So let's run it again and let's see. Right here, we made the square. Congratulations. So basically, if you look at this, we had a turtle. We imported the turtle library. Don't need to worry about that just yet. we made a new screen and we made a turtle, and then we just made the turtle to move forward 100 degrees, turn 90 degrees, move forward, and then turn 90 degrees, move forward, turn 90 degrees, move forward, and until it goes to this point, exactly where it left off. We made a square. But this is so redundant, right? Because this is just running. Second. This is just running 4 times. You see that? So, see, one second. Let's make this a little bit more readable. We want it to be a perfect square. So if I close it and run it, this is the turtle. So again, I just made it so that it turns left again 90 degrees. So it's ready to make the square again. But you see that all of this are the same, right? It runs 4 times. It's the same exact code. It just runs 4 times. So why not just make a for loop here? So for I in range of 4. And we just put this inside of it. We can delete everything else. As we learned, a for loop, this range thing tells the for loop to run 4 times. And this is what we wanted. So if I run it now, again, it made it. We just use loops to make this program around 90% more efficient. So that's basically what Turtles is. And let's go back to the homework. So basically, the homework is to use Turtle to draw a pentagon on the screen. Or if you don't want to draw a pentagon, right, the main goal here is just to use loops. So whatever shape you want, you can draw. You can draw a triangle, you can do whatever. And please use loops here. And then print out a statement, why am I coding 10 times? 10 times, very good hint, use for loops. And then the third question is ask the user how old they are and print out their age, use input. And then make a program that asks the user to enter a value and loops until they get the value 21. So for the fourth program, you can use the homework that you already did before to just integrate the while loop. And yeah, that's basically it for homework. It should take very, very minimal amount of time to do this because we went over everything. We went over in this practice, basically like all of these homeworks. So just try to code all of this by yourself, as this is the key to perfection. So thank you so much for watching. Please finish the homework, and in the next video, I'll be going over the homework on how to do it. So please finish homework by then. But other than that, I'll see you later.